And this month we are going to be focusing on creativity. And what I mean by that is we're still going to be doing traditional yoga poses, probably in similar sequences that you have followed before, but we are going to bring a little bit more curiosity to the pose. We are going to try to have more of a conversation with our body, really tuning inwards to see how we're feeling at the beginning of practice and setting an intention for how we want to feel, and see if we can make that shift through tweaking some of the common yoga poses versus just doing it the same way every single time. When we move around throughout life, we don't move in one singular perfect alignment way all the time. So just a little bit more playful, a little bit more curiosity, and seeing how we feel. So before each class will have the same sequence, and we're going to do that sequence twice. The first round we're going to go through a little bit slower, and I'm going to give you probably 2 to 3 breaths in each pose with some silence to simply give you the moment to tune inwards and really see how the pose feels without you worrying about every little alignment cue. We'll go through the second round just a little bit quicker so that you can be familiar with it. And then the third round is when we are going to introduce something a little bit different. To begin, go ahead and just close down the eyes, sitting in any comfortable position that works for you today, and really just taking a moment to tune into the breath and see how you are feeling at the beginning of practice. There's no right or wrong answer. And then maybe taking a moment to set an intention for how you want to feel. And we're going to try and come back to that intention throughout the practice to see if we can more intentionally make that shift. Once you are ready to begin, you're going to come to an all fours position. You don't need any blocks, but as always, if you prefer them, have some nearby. So we're going to begin all fours, shoulders stacked over wrists, hips over knees, and we're going to start with some cat-cow. So inhale, dropping the belly, sending the chest through the arms, gaze forward, and exhale to round through the spine. Dipping the chin, pulling belly button to spine, tucking the pelvis. Inhale to arch. Again, I'm just going to give you probably 2 to 3 breaths here. Go at your own pace with some silence to really just tune in to how you're feeling. After your last exhale, come back to a neutral spine. Walk your hands back towards your knees. Inhale, coming up to a kneeling position. Exhale, step the right foot forward for our low lunge. You can have your hands on blocks here if that is more comfortable, cushioning the back knee. Grounding down through all 4 corners of the front foot, squeezing inner thighs together, nice long spine. Again, few breaths here just to tune in to how this pose feels for you this morning. On your next exhale, bringing your right knee back to meet the left and stepping the left foot forward. Same thing on the other side, low lunge on the left-hand side. Trying to really just focus on not maybe going to the deepest expression of the pose that you can and sinking into all your muscles. Trying to have some engagement here. See maybe where you feel some tension. Maybe where you feel some stickiness if you do this pose the same way every single time. And maybe it just doesn't feel quite right yet. We're going to explore that more in a moment. Next exhale, bringing the left knee back to meet the right, walking the hands towards the front of the mat. Spread the fingertips wide, pressing down through all 10 fingers. Tuck the toes. Inhale here. Exhale, lifting back into your down dog. You can keep those knees generously bent for right now. We haven't warmed up too much, so take a few moments before we find stillness to walk out your dog. Like I said, it doesn't matter how straight your knees are. Just try and keep a nice long spine, pushing strong through the shoulders, strong through the fingertips, hips towards the ceiling. And now taking a moment of stillness just to tune inwards. How does this pose feel in your body? On your next exhale, bend those knees, walk your hands back towards your feet for a little forward fold, just for a breath. Inhale, rolling up one vertebra at a time. Hips stack over knees, shoulders stack over hips, heads last to rise. Good, stepping the right foot forward, left foot parallel with the back of the mat, right heel bisects the left arch. Bend into the right knee, sending the arms to the front and the back of the mat for your warrior two. Gazing wherever feels comfortable here. Finding stillness for a few breaths. Again, just tuning into how you feel. I'm going to say that a lot. Not trying to change anything right now, not trying to find the perfect alignment. Just what is your default and how does that feel? Inhale, flip the right palm. Exhale, sweep the right arm up and over for your reverse warrior. 2 breaths here. And exhale, right hand comes to right forearm comes to right thigh, left arm rainbows up and over. Nice long line through the left foot to the left fingertips. Inhale to rise, turning your right foot to be parallel with the front of the mat. You can shorten your stance a little bit and bend your knees. Inhale here, exhale, hinge at the hips, folding forward for our wide-legged forward fold. Again, we're not too crazy warmed up, so just keeping the stance nice and easy for right now. Maybe not going to the deepest expression that you can go. Really tuning into how this pose feels in each part of your body. One more breath. Rolling up on your next inhale. Turning so your left foot faces the back of the mat. Right foot is still parallel with the front. Bending into the left knee for your warrior two on the second side. Gazing wherever feels comfortable. In addition to tuning into your body and how it feels, how is your breath feeling? Are you able to keep a nice and consistent, steady breath? Are you holding your breath? Inhale, flip the left palm, reach it up and over. Right hand comes to the right thigh. Strong through the feet. And exhale, left forearm comes to left thigh. Right arm reaches up and overhead. Inhale to rise, left foot parallel with the right, shorten the stance if you need to, bend those knees on an inhale, and exhale, hinge at the hips to fold forward for your wide-legged forward fold. If you get here and this feels okay, you can heel toe those feet a little bit wider apart. You can also use some blocks here if you need the floor, need help getting the floor up to meet your hands. Bend those knees, rolling up. Heel toe those feet back in towards one another, stepping to the front of the mat. And we're going to set up for our tree pose here. So bending into the left knee, placing more of the weight on the left foot. So we'll face the camera here. And coming up onto the toe of the right foot, you can keep the right foot just at the ankle, calf, or even thigh, whatever's feeling good for you this morning or evening, whenever you're doing this. And hands at prayer, hands at hips, whatever feels good. Again, how does this pose feel? If you're feeling a little wobbly, that's okay. You can use some furniture. You can come to a wall to help you with your balance here. Your next exhale, hinge at the hips, send the right leg back. Chest goes forward for our warrior three. Gazing down at the floor. Hips stay square. It doesn't matter how high that right leg is here. Just observing how our body is feeling. Right leg comes to meet the left. Inhale to rise up. I'm going to set that up on the second side, sending your weight more into the right foot. Left foot comes to the inside of the right ankle, calf, or thigh. Taking a moment to find some stillness. And on your next exhale, hinging at the hips and the chest forward, left leg goes back. And this doesn't matter how high it goes, you can even just use that left leg as a kickstand. Use any furniture or wall if you need to help with your balance. Inhale, bringing left foot back to meet the right. You can give it all a little shake and come to find a seated position. Facing the long edge of your mat, extend the right leg out long. Left knee bends, foot's on the inside of the right thigh. Inhale the arms down, around and up. Exhale, twisting over the right leg and hinging at the hips to send your chest closer toward your knee. Resting the arms wherever feels good for you. Nice long spine, gazing wherever feels comfortable. And again, just not going as deep as we possibly can just yet. Just kind of taking the role of the observer. How does this right leg feel? Inhaling to rise. Exhale, switch legs. Left leg goes out long, right leg tucks in to the inner left thigh. Inhale the arms down, around and up. Exhale, twisting at the navel to fold over the left leg. You can also bring some blocks under the hands here, just to give you a little bit more space, a little bit more room to get curious. Good. Inhale to rise. Exhale, bring left foot to touch sole of the right foot for our butterfly pose or our Baddha Konasana. And you can let the legs flap a little bit or find some stillness, keeping the spine long, or you can hinge at the hips to fold forward a little bit. This will be our last pose before we reset and go through this sequence again one more time, just a little bit quicker. Okay, so we're familiar with the sequence. We're going to run through it one more time pretty quickly just to get you familiar with it a little bit more, and then we will explore some different variations. So coming back onto hands and knees. Few rounds of cat-cow here. Inhale to arch. Exhale to round. Going at your own pace. Maybe moving a little bit quicker. After your next exhale, tuck those toes if they aren't already. Inhale here. Exhale, send the hips high for down dog. You can pedal out through the feet a bit or find stillness. Exhale, walk your hands back to meet your feet. Bend those knees for your forward fold. Letting the head hang heavy. Inhale, stacking one vertebra at a time as we come into our standing pose. And exhale, stepping right foot forward. Left foot parallel with the back of the mat, bending into the right knee for our warrior two. Maybe you can sink a little bit deeper here now. Inhale, flip the right palm, rainbow it up and over. Left hand comes to the back of the left thigh. Exhale, right forearm to right thigh, left arm sweeps up and over. Inhale to rise, turning right foot to meet the long edge of the mat. Taking a breath here. Exhale, bend the knees, hinge at the hips, send the chest forward for our wide-legged forward fold. Letting the head hang heavy. Bend the knees, roll up the spine. Exhale, left foot turns to the back of the mat, bending into the left knee. Right foot is parallel with the front of the mat for a warrior two on the second side. Inhale, flip the left palm, sweep it up and over. Exhale, left hand arm comes to left forearm, right arm reaches up and overhead. Inhale to rise, straightening that left leg, turning left leg parallel to the short edges of the mat, and bend the knees. Exhale, hinge at the hips to fold forward, wide-legged forward fold. You can walk out through the legs here a little bit or find stillness. Inhale to rise. Heel toeing those feet together. You can still face the long edge or the front edge of the mat. Putting the weight into the left foot. Right foot comes to ankle, calf, thigh of the left leg for our tree pose. Just a breath here. And exhale, hinge at the hips, send the right leg long. Chest leans forward for our warrior three. Hands can come to hips, chest, or out in front. Inhale, right foot comes to meet the left. Exhale, left foot comes to the inside of the right ankle, calf, or thigh. And wherever hands feel comfortable here, take a moment to find your balance. And exhale, hinge at the hips, send the left leg long, reaching towards the crown of the head, from the left toes to the crown of the head. Inhale to rise, bringing left foot back to meet the right. Make your way back down to your mat, extending right leg long. Left leg comes into the right thigh. Inhale, arms to the sky. Exhale, twisting at the navel, folding over, bringing chest to knee. Inhale to rise. Switch legs, left leg extends out long. Inhale, arms rise up to the sky. Exhale, twisting over towards the left leg and folding forward. Good. Inhale to rise. Exhale, bring left foot to meet sole of right foot for our final pose here, our butterfly or Baddha Konasana. All right, so now hopefully we're feeling a little bit warm. You can give your feet a little bit of a massage, give those legs a little squeeze just to wake up any areas that still seem a little bit tense. And then for this third round, we are going to change up the position of our arms and our wrists. And again, this is all just for fun, just to explore, just to be curious. If something is too painful or just doesn't feel right, just go back to what feels comfortable. So coming back onto hands and knees. And instead of our traditional cat-cow where we have the fingers extended towards the front of the mat, maybe we turn them out to the sides of the mat. Maybe you even turn them towards the knees. Cat-cow here. Inhaling to arch. Exhale to round. And you can play around with a couple different. You don't have to do the same thing each time. So maybe if your fingers are turned all the way towards your knees for a round or two, then maybe you want to change and face the long edges of the mat. And just see how this transforms the pose for you. Good. Walking the hands back to meet the knees. Inhale, coming up to a kneeling position. Exhale, step that right foot forward for our low lunge. Maybe if you always have your hands on your hips, maybe you experiment with arms straight out overhead. Maybe you place your arms out to a T. Maybe you roll out through the wrists, moving those arms up and down. Maybe you go into eagle arms, crossing one hand or one elbow under the other, interlacing at the wrists, or just keeping just one elbow on top of the other. Any variation that is speaking to you right now. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to be any of my suggestions. Just trying to get you to be curious, tuning into your body. Bring that right knee back, sending the left foot forward for your low lunge on this side. Being a little bit curious with your body, what feels good. Maybe you start doing one thing and you're like, don't like that, not doing that anymore. Then you switch to something else. That's the whole point of these classes, is just to get you experimenting. Maybe you do a little bit something different with your arms and your spine. Good. Bringing left knee back to meet the right, walking hands out towards the front of the mat, tuck the toes under. Again, maybe a little bit something different with your hands here. Maybe you turn those fingers out, maybe even just 45 degrees. Maybe you turn them all the way to the edges of the mat. Maybe you turn them all the way towards the knees. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this, but inhale here, exhale, lifting up to down dog. You can change it if whatever you've picked doesn't feel good. But I notice here, turning my hands even out just to 45 degrees creates a lot more space in my shoulders that I feel like I'm not having to work as hard to keep my spine nice and long. Any variation, anything that feels good for you. Maybe you want to place your hands up on some blocks to experiment. Experiment there. Walking your hands back to meet your feet. Taking a breath here in your forward fold. Maybe rolling out through the wrists. Maybe giving yourself a little wrist massage, squeezing one wrist and then the others. Maybe you want to stretch out through the fingers, pulling back, wiggling out one finger at a time. Again, there is no right or wrong answer here. Whatever your body is feeling called to move, do that. Rolling up to our standing position, stepping the right foot forward, left foot parallel with the back of the mat, bend into the right knee. Maybe you don't send the arms out long. Maybe you send the arms up high for warrior two. Maybe you keep the arms out long, but you're really focusing, instead of focusing so much on the position of your legs, maybe you're focusing more on the position of your arms, making sure there's shoulders. Maybe you want the shoulders up near your ears. Maybe you're focusing on the shoulders down, really wide through the fingers, really pulling as much as you can through the fingertips of the front and the back arm. Maybe you're rolling out through the wrist. Again, nothing is right or wrong. Anything you can think of to do here. Flip the right palm, send it up and over, reaching up for our reverse warrior. Again, whatever feels good here. I really love to just roll out through the wrist. Maybe you want to keep your hands in cow face pose behind the back as you do this. Inhaling to rise, exhaling, maybe leaning over. Maybe you're doing it hands-free. You don't even want to get your hands involved at all. Anything you can think of. Inhale to rise, turning the right foot to meet the long edge of the mat. Inhale here. Exhale to fold forward for your wide-legged forward fold. Maybe in the previous sequence, you've just kind of let your arms hang heavy, hang lax, crown of head hangs toward the floor. Maybe you want to push a little bit into the arms and see how that transforms the pose. Maybe you want to reach your arms, staying up on fingertips, reaching the arms out long, keeping some nice engagement there. Maybe you want to reach your arms over towards the right, towards the left, grabbing heels, rolling out. These are all just suggestions, rolling up one vertebra at a time. Anything that feels good for you, you do. Just giving you a few suggestions to try. Left foot towards the back of the mat. Right foot parallel with the front. Bending into the left knee for warrior two on the second side. Whatever you want to do with your arms. Maybe a little eagle arm. Maybe a roll out through the wrist. Maybe just want to let the arms shake off a little bit. You're tired of hanging them up here, keeping everything straight and steady. Just let it all wiggle out. Flip the front palm, rainbow it up and over, reaching overhead. Maybe you want to externally rotate a little bit and just reach for that shoulder. Maybe roll out through the shoulder. Exhale, bringing left forearm to the left thigh, right arm reaches up overhead. Maybe you want to roll out here. Maybe you want to bring that fingertips to the shoulder and roll out through the shoulder blades. Or through the shoulder, not the shoulder blades. Good. Inhaling to rise. Turning left foot parallel with the right, bend into the knees, fold forward. Again, wide-legged forward fold. Whatever you want to do with your hands here. Maybe instead of pushing, maybe you want to push into the floor, but you want to turn your wrist. Maybe you need some blocks and your hands are pointing towards you, but they're up on blocks. Rolling up through the spine. Heel toeing the feet together. Setting up for our tree pose on the left side. Weight into the left foot. Bringing the right foot wherever feels comfortable. Maybe you always have your arms extended out like so in a tree pose. Maybe you want them on the hips. Maybe you want hands at heart. Maybe you're wobbling, that's okay. Maybe you want to place your arms behind the back, interlacing the fingers, finding a little bit more space in the chest. Good. Exhale, extend the right leg long. Chest comes forward. Maybe your arms go overhead. Maybe they go out for airplane. Maybe they go back. Maybe you're rolling out through the wrist. The right leg comes to meet the left. Weight into the right foot. Left foot comes to the right leg, wherever feels comfortable. Experimenting with some different positions of our arms here in our tree. Maybe you want your tree to sway a little bit. Branches going this way and that way. Seeing if you can keep yourself balanced. Moving your arms all around. Good. Exhale. Left leg goes long. Chest comes towards the floor. Again, you can keep that left leg down for some more support if you're feeling wobbly, whatever you want to do. Maybe you want to try and knock yourself off balance, moving your arms all around in your warrior three. Whatever you want to do here. Sometimes the sillier it looks, the better it feels. Okay, bringing left foot back down to meet the right. Coming back down to a seated position. Extend the right leg out long. Inhale, whatever you want to do with the arms. You don't have to raise them up and overhead. Maybe you want to keep your arms down. Maybe you want to lean back with your arms supporting you. Turning over to the right leg. Seeing how that feels. Maybe you're just wanting to open up through the chest. Whatever you want to do. Rolling out through the wrist. Eagle arms. Maybe you want to turn those wrists with the fingertips facing you more. Switch over to the other side, extending the left leg long. Something different with the arms. Good. Coming to your butterfly pose. Left foot comes to meet comes to meet the sole of the right foot. Maybe you just want to massage your feet here a little bit with your hands. Maybe you want to give your wrists a little massage. You can also sneak your arms under your legs, letting your shoulders roll inwards, letting your arms hang loose without having to do much work at all. Good. Inhale to rise. Coming back to lie on your back or any final resting pose that feels comfortable for you today. Maybe you always do Shavasana with your arms down by your sides. Maybe you want to place them out like a T. Maybe you want to reach them up overhead. Maybe you want to put them behind your head, creating a little pillow. And just taking a moment here to reflect on anything you might have learned, any pose that, just feels better, moving your arms in a different way. Maybe you didn't like any of the poses and moving your arms in a certain way. That's okay too. But just reflecting on how one little minute change can really transform a practice. Coming up to a seated position whenever you're ready. Slowly blinking the eyes open. Namaste. Thank you for practicing.